Right, look, we found 3 legends. They did come late, but we're not going to let that ruin this moment. No gifts, new jersey as well. It's a bit disappointing. Anyway, we're here. What a wonderful event, by the way, at Legends. I know you guys know this better than me. First question, how can Chelsea win tomorrow?
It's going to be difficult, right? This is a PSG team that are the best team in the world. We've seen turn over some of the best teams in the world. But this is Chelsea, and I know it's a different Chelsea team. We find a way to do it in finals where we're underdogs. First game of the competition where we're underdogs, I think that we defensively resolute, no mistakes, and we get the job done.
How?
I haven't answered the question, have I? I think Cole Palmer's got to be the best player on the pitch, and it's going to come through Cole Palmer. I know they've got great attacking players, and I know their midfield's kind of the driving point of their team. But if Caicedo and Cole Palmer have good games, then I don't see why we don't win.
I think it's about the gaps in behind. Like Nuno Mendes and Hakimi, we know how good they are defensively, but especially going forward, they're always in the final third, attacking-wise. And I think Chelsea this tournament, we've had players that can hurt the opposition in the final third. Like Neto has been so good being on that touchline, and it's always been about seeing him. And there was games at Benfica, for example, like he was there waving away, and I'm like, is someone going to pass him the ball? And as soon as we did, he scored a goal. And I think that's where the gaps are going to be. PSG, they're brilliant going forward, but I think what Chelsea do in transition is fantastic, and I think we've seen that grow massively in the tournament, where as long as you can find the winger, you can see him, and I think we've got the players to hurt him. I think Neto's going to be the game changer for us tomorrow. I think he's going to score, and I think if we can see him, whether it's on the left wing or the right wing, I think Pedro Neto is going to be the difference maker for Chelsea tomorrow.
See, I disagree with that. Palmer's got to be the best. I don't think Palmer has to be the best. I think Caicedo and Cucurella have to be the best. We talked about the fullbacks for PSG. The fullbacks for PSG are probably the most unique part about them. Vitinha's great, the front three is great, but Nuno Mendes and Hakimi can score better than some attackers can score. So it's going to need to be all 11 players tomorrow. Like João Pedro, you got to defend. And he does defend. He really does. Neto, you mentioned Neto. Like Neto's got to defend. So I think it's just got to be a literal all-team effort. And when you're the underdog, that's usually why you win. When you're the underdog, all 11 players ball out.
It's interesting, not one of you has mentioned a defender or a goalkeeper.
I mentioned Cucurella.
Well, it's... Yeah. No, but we need to... Again, he's gone with an interesting formation in previous games. Yeah. And against Fluminense, it was a 3-1-5-1. It was weird. Yeah. I feel like Caicedo cannot be the only man anchoring that midfield. Yeah. Just because PSG's midfield is great, right? We've seen how good they are. Fabian Ruiz is a great player. Vitinha's a great player. But I feel with Chelsea, especially where our backs are going to be against the wall, we're going to relinquish possession. I think this game's set up perfectly for us. And you mentioned Pedro Neto, a man who's great in transition. Our players are very, very good in transition. And I feel like PSG are clear favourites, right? They've got the best team in the world. But the way the game will play out, in my opinion, is perfect for how Maresca will set up the side. And I'm again, maybe it's because I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm very confident we're going to get a result, for sure.
Very confident.
Very confident, very confident. You got this on camera, you got this on film. I think that Chelsea get the result in this game just because there's a lot of talk about PSG, about how vaunted their attack is, how great their midfield is, how good Donnarumma is right now, how Enrique's got them playing. But it's a Chelsea team that won 13 out of their last 15 games in all competitions. The only 2 games we lost was against Flamengo, Nicholas Jackson red card. Newcastle, Nicholas Jackson red card. Chelsea are one of the most informed teams in the world.
The only thing I would say is I'm saying all of this based on the idea that Mendes and Hakimi are going to make mistakes, which we haven't seen that from PSG. Like the stats have been going around about how many goals they've scored and not conceded against top European teams. Atletico, Bayern, Real Madrid, Inter in the Champions League final. Like these are ridiculous numbers. And this is a Chelsea team that were, as everyone's saying, Conference League winners. Like it's almost like it's a joke, which kind of gives me that little bit of oomph to be like, well, yeah, all right, well, it is the Conference League. It's not a Champions League final. We can't neglect that. But as much as we can hurt them, we are going to have to rely on PSG having a bit of an off day. And I think we can all see that.
Speaking of mistakes, Robert Sanchez cannot make any mistakes.
That's
if
what
he
I
does,
mean.
we're screwed.
We can't make any mistakes.
No,
and
can't.
if we don't make mistakes, then I don't back them not to. So in that sense, we can win the flipping game. Simple.
I like the confidence, guys. I know this is the conversation that's going to cause debate, so I'm just going to throw the grenade in and watch it happen. Who starts up front? Not only tomorrow, but for the season coming through.
I've heard people talk about maybe playing João Pedro in the 10 and playing Leon Delap up top. I think why mess with something that worked in the semi-final? João Pedro showed us in glimpses that he has got the ability to put the ball in the back of the net. And we all knew how good he was in the build-up. And maybe the slight criticism you had of him at Brighton was the fact that he didn't score that many open play goals. But he occupies defences. And you know as a striker, if you can occupy the back four, that's half the job. And then where he's put away these finishes in the semi-final, I wouldn't mess around with that. I'll start João Pedro up top. If you have to change it after 60 minutes, you change it. But for me, going forward, based on what I've seen so far, João Pedro is Chelsea's number 9.
I'll make it simple. I think Liam Delap starts and João Pedro takes Nkunku's spot because Nkunku's not here for the long term. João Pedro is. So I think João Pedro will do defensive work on the side. And I think Liam Delap, being a Maresca and Joe Shields guy, gets a lot of starts up front.
I was going to literally say everything that Alex just said. I think we got to look for the long ball as well, because I think there's going to be gaps in behind that PSG defence. In which case, I think Delap is the man you go for because he's got that ability to press, but also be physical if we actually find him. As you would know, Troy, like everyone needs a target man. You've got to find the man, and someone's got to bring it down. And if you've got Pedro or Enzo Fernandez or Palmer feeding off of that, I think second balls could be big for Chelsea. I think we've got to take any opportunity that we've got. And I think the best chance we've got is actually bringing the ball down, controlling it around the box. And we've got enough players to come on the end of it and score.
So, obviously, none of you spoke about Nicholas Jackson there, but I feel that we need to. 100 million price tag is kind of being bounded around. I don't think you're going to get that personally. Do you think you have to sell him to keep the team chemistry? And if you don't sell him, what kind of a problem can that cause going into the season?
I think there's a lot of naysayers around Nicholas Jackson right now, and some of them are amongst the Chelsea fan base because of recent performances and because of his petulant behaviour. But let's not forget, we got him at a cut price from Villarreal, a player that hadn't really played up top for much of his career, and he's come and contributed goals to Chelsea. Based on the squad dynamics and based on who the players we've got in already, I can't see Nicholas Jackson happy coming off the bench. And so for me, I feel like he is probably surplus to requirements post this tournament, but Chelsea have shrewd operators in the market. We're only going to get market value for Nicholas Jackson. Whatever that is remains to be seen. 100 million is far-fetched. That's not how much he's worth. But he's a player that would do a job at a lot of Premier League clubs. Look at the trouble Manchester United have up top. You look at a lot of other clubs in the Premier League. I think Nicholas Jackson is a good enough striker to lead the line for a number of Premier League clubs. I think by the end of the summer, he won't be at Chelsea anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's a real price tag. I think it's more Chelsea being like, well, if you're saying Ekitike is 100 million euros, you're saying Morgan Rogers, who's not a striker, but you saying Morgan Rogers is 100 million euros, we're going to say Jackson's that because the striker market especially is weak and also inflated. I think, though, you know this, as the summer goes on, prices drop for players. And I think right now they're holding their ground because a year ago, had they sold Jackson after one Premier League season, he would have gone for a lot. It was a good debut season. So they're not going to throw him away for nothing. But I do agree with what he just said about if Jackson stays and he's third string, he's not going to be happy. So I think publicly they're going to say, no, we love Jackson, just so people bite a little bit more, and there'll be a middle ground. They will sell him eventually. By September 1st, he'll be on another club, but it won't be for 100 mil.
I think football fans in general, we're all very easy to look at the last game. Jackson's had 2 red cards in, the last 4 appearances. Does that mean he's a £100 million player? No one's going to say that around this flipping table, and no one's going to believe that. Nicholas Jackson's a really good footballer, and he fits the way that Chelsea want to play. Maresca's already said he would like 2 Nicholas Jacksons, not to quote the man. Didn't say that exactly. But there's a lot of good things that Jackson does. But right now, even with what I've seen in the lab, and especially that cameo from João Pedro, and that 60 minutes was outstanding. You play that way in a semi-final, you start the final every day of the week. And I think Pedro has got this little bit where at Brighton, maybe he's not been playing for the top honours before, and he's just been waiting for a moment to play in a final to be a world champion. And he's come into Chelsea where clearly we wanted a striker, we wanted a number 9, we wanted someone to come in and score us the goals. And he's looked at that and been like, I've not been playing for these kind of big games at Brighton. Now he is, and he's done that in 60 minutes. So for me, he's got to start tomorrow. And if I'm Nicholas Jackson and I'm being asked to come off the bench for Enzo Maresca and we need something from this game, maybe you've got however many minutes you're given to save your Chelsea career. And that isn't because I want him gone, it's because if Chelsea are willing to sell him, and we've seen that from Pedro and Delap in the first however many minutes of football they played, Jackson has got a big point to prove. He don't want that, that's fine, he can go. It doesn't mean anything to me, I'm a Chelsea fan, I want my striker to score me goals. Score me goals, you stay, you do whatever you need. 100 million, it's ridiculous. You know it, we all know it, 100 million is ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
All right, and then final question. if Chelsea are to win, some mad way they win this game, right?
Have more faith, Troy. Have more faith.
I'm just asking questions, guys. Relax. It's some crazy universe in which Chelsea win, and they are world champions.
Yeah.
How much pressure is really on them now to go and win the Premier League next season?
I don't want to take this opportunity to slander other football clubs, right? But the P word, project, in football is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. Arteta
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Arsenal.
Okay.
Arteta gets lauded, and they say 8th, 5th, second, whatever. But when he took over, Emery finished 5th the season prior, and he's taken Arsenal to second. At Chelsea, you're not given that grace, right? We finished 12th, then 6th, then 4th. There is no doubt about it. Within Chelsea, the Chelsea fan base, there's expectations to improve year on year. And we will not buy the idea of a project. And so next year we have to improve on what we've done this year. I'm not saying we're going to win the Premier League. I'm not saying that we have to win the Premier League. But there has to be improvement on what we saw in the previous season. And what that means is maybe a run in the Champions League, maybe a deeper run in the domestic cups, which we were very poor in this season, and improving our league position. I think that Chelsea, at minimum, should be finishing 3rd next season. Maresca and the team won't come out and say that. I've managed to talk to the Chelsea team over the past month, and they've never put a number on it or never put a certain expectation on it, but they know what the job is. This is a Chelsea team next season that are going to come up against teams that will potentially be playing against the champions of the world. And so it's a different expectation, it's a different mentality, and for me, next year, Chelsea will have to go in a deep run in the cup competition and finish above 4th in the Premier League.
I mean, I know how the Chelsea fan base is, right? We all do. If we win the Club World Cup, we're all going to, in a normal moment, say we shouldn't be favorites, right? We shouldn't be Premier League favorites. But if we win the Club World Cup, we're going to start acting like if we don't win the Premier League, it's a failure. When in reality, we still need to mature a little bit more. The goalkeeper's got to change long term in order to truly win the Premier League. But we do have the Champions League to think about. We just need to progress in every single competition, hopefully win a trophy. But I would say we're probably a year out. If we really want to be honest, we're probably a year out to truly expect to win the Premier League. But 3rd, I would agree with. 3rd.
I promise I'm going to come to you. But how can you keep using the excuse of we're young when all you do is buy young?
No, I mean, I totally hear that. And us as fans, though, we don't really want to always go young, young, young. We want the Mike Mignons to be thrown in, right? We want the Victor Osimhens to be thrown in because that's the kind of like needed spine with some older players that can help the young players grow. So you can't keep using that because at the same time you want to win the Premier League and you got to have a Van Dijk, a Salah, you got to have, or Marquinhos to be topical here, right? You got to have those reference points. So the project's been going on for a long time. I hate that word as well, but it is a project. But it's about time to be more than just a project and to be a product.
I think he's spot on, but I also think like Chelsea, for example, we kind of needed a little bit of respite from all the slack that we get given for not competing. We've spent so much money, and that's the conversation everyone has. We spent so much money. How have we already not won the Premier League? How have we already not been in the title race? This tournament was branded as a glorified pre-season tournament, which is absolute nonsense. When you look at the shiny trophy, you look at the money that is on show that we've already got inside of the club. The thing for me that I think is most important is if we're going to sell a lot of young players, you've got to buy better than what you're selling. And from what I'm seeing in the window right now, I think we're doing that. And again, I don't have examples on the pitch to be able to say that for sure, but from the outside, I think Gittins under Maresca will be a better winger than what Noni Madueke's been. And I like Madueke. I think he's done a good job, but he's not done a great job. So for Chelsea to win this tournament, I think it's a perfect way for us to actually use it as a springboard, use it as a bit of momentum, and be like, we're going to go into this Premier League season, hopefully use the money that we make from this tournament and actually improve the starting 11. Because if you improve the starting 11, you've got to do that. Liverpool have strengthened, City have strengthened, Arsenal are clearly ambitious now. So what are Chelsea going to do? I don't want to go from 4th and finish 4th again or be in a battle for 4th. We've got to be challenging for the league. If we're not challenging for the league, where's the ambition? What are we doing as a football club? So I think we're trying to do that. If we win this tournament, I don't think it changes too much. It'd be lovely.
Can I add something in terms of how long can you talk about project? And again, we all hate that word. But if you look at a team like Liverpool, took them 30 years from when they were a dominant side, the dynasty of the 70s and 80s, to get back and win regular major honours. Arsenal are 21 years into it, from the Invincibles to now. Manchester United are 12, 13 years into it. Chelsea won the Champions League 4 years ago. And that whole team has been gutted, bar Reece James. And so for Chelsea to be back where they are after sanctioning, after all those players left, after not even... We didn't even know if we were going to be in existence. We thought we might go out of business. And 4 years later, for us to be here, talking about winning the Club World Cup against the best team in the world, I think testament and credit has to be given to an ownership group that have come under a lot of criticism. And I've criticised them, right? We've all, at points, felt disconnected from the football club. But the turnover's been quick and it's been rapid. And now we're standing here being asked about, should we win the Premier League next season? And I think that's credit to what they've built and credit to how they've brought players in and credit to the manager as well, Enzo Maresca, who's built a very, very formidable Chelsea side. We all expect to win major trophies over the next couple of seasons.
All right, that was the last question, but you just tipped me onto something. I've not heard one Chelsea fan, not one, complain that Madueke's been sold. Why is that? Just a real short answer, whoever.
He's a good player, but you know what? I feel like if we're going to go specific on one player, we're all really excited for Estevao coming from Palmeiras. Not to say that we want him thrown into the fire. We don't want him being thrown into the fire. He's got to be slow played. But with him, and then the fact that Pedro Neto is also here, and he's such a useful player to have, Pedro Neto, right? With Nani, you could probably get a high-end game that you can't get out of Neto. You can get the hat-trick against Wolves. With Neto, you get the 7 out of 10, the 7 out of 10, the 7 out of 10. Nani, you get the 9 out of 10 or the 1 out of 10. We don't need that right now. We have Palmer, we have Estevao, we have João Pedro, we have the midfielders. So I think with Nani, you just don't know what you're going to get. And 52 mil, it's good money, man. It is.
I think what we've sold him for, based on the idea of understanding what Chelsea are trying to do as a football club, it makes sense. We bought him for what, 30 million quid?
Yeah, the model's working in that perspective. It is working.
Absolutely. And again, I was catching myself as a Chelsea fan who talks about Chelsea every day. I'm like, well, Madueke, all I keep remembering is a hat-trick at the Molineux. And if I remember that day, Wolves didn't turn up. They've been in the flipping Legends New York City pub. And then they've flown over and they're still flipping drinking. I don't know. But look, Nani's a good player, and I think he needs a right environment to thrive. But at Chelsea, if we're going to keep this like turnover of players coming in, especially when you've got players like Estevao, who people are saying can win a Ballon d'Or. Can Madueke win a Ballon d'Or? Sorry, no. Absolutely not. Good footballer, could become a really great footballer. But does he have that potential? No. So if Chelsea are going to keep that turnover going, Madueke is going to be a prime example of someone who misses out.
Perfect. Cheers, lads. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Roy.
Thank you. Thank you.